Well, we're starting off our community review segment by going to Jukwa, the central region, where they've experienced some serious flooding, and not only just flooding, but destruction of infrastructure in a big way. Now, let's take a look at this report, and we'll touch base with our colleague and Central Regional Correspondent, Calvis Tete. Watch this.
According to some residents along the stretch, part of the bridge linking the Twifo Praso to Cape Coast stretch collapsed as a result of the heavy rains. Persons who were commuting from Cape Coast to Twifo Praso were stranded for several hours as they could not cross to the other end of the road. The Sorori Bridge is known to serve commuters from Cape Coast to Jukwa and also from Cape Coast to Dunkwa Onofing. Officials of the National Disaster Management Organization were in hand to help persons cross from the other end of the road. Here are some residents speaking to City News.
The back almost 20-something years in it. If you see that, but the next day, bridge now, Praso, they say bridge, the iron can't be intimate, can't be intimate, but one will free Praso have a catchery, and will free capos, so a better Praso have a catchery. And I'll call Scarce also. I want to share down the same thing. The Yabaquanua, she said, and yet that Chahima fee, crying soon a book, one echo if you. I say, I will tell my parents, yes, sir, a bumpy for say. Ombra Mabuay, and think I say will be a worker, but a neighbor for Mumna echo.
Machine, moto, I have 5. Nina say. Meet an idea in Sakum. If you cry inside, I shall meet them, mamma. Minyamina say, in a house I say, and that's it. I do me a laughy, Urade. So, Obu put my room, sir. Magic. Even one motor or one 2,000. Now I have 5. Chaco factory, a wire man. Also got problem.
David Okanta is the assemblyman for Jukwa East electoral area, and he speaks to City News about how the disaster happened and how it has affected them.
The same thing say, you not on a binto be said that. Me since I may fi chroma ha my a woman, me who be said that. Nti me buy and share no nature say disaster is you know. A family electoral area there, Kofobe breed, Diana says. A be went to me and down a be. And you share your major road bridge and also a mobile and FC Mamma. You should not say no. And I will buy any my maid in Chahima, Yadina, so Nifia, you see a bahod, and you should get. In fact, you're a hopa. Na mobile sumu yakwan ika anko kamba enti ama sisia no de ye prende say be stress aban be ba be hwe aboa because baby adu ni de ye nim de be ye kire aban na nkasa na tumi ayeden ne sa bem sisia no yegusu ne ye mindful kasa say baby adu no so bia bomodin say obehwe no because insuo ne ntwe ye nsuo na yi no se nsuo baako eda ha na koda ha na abebom iti se bebi a wonam bia ne se wo hwe ho yi.
All right, so that's a report from Jukwa and the Central Region by our colleague Calvis Tete. Unfortunate scenes that you saw there, but we're going to join Calvis right now and have him explain to us exactly what it is that we were looking at in that footage. Calvis, good morning.
Good morning, David.
Yeah, so exactly, can you just describe to us exactly what happened that day when the bridge collapsed and the road was cut into 2 and so on? Give us the lowdown.
Well, David, as we speak now, I'm just beside the bridge that collapsed as a result of the rains that happened sometime on Saturday.
Okay.
Portions of the bridge collapsed, caved in, and then making it difficult for persons who are commuting from Cape Coast to Jukwa, and then from Jukwa to Cape Coast, difficult to cross. From what we learned, tourists from what we learned, tourists also had difficulty in also moving to Kakum National Park, which is on this stretch. As we speak now, there's a temporary solution has been put to the issue. There are some stands and stones that have been used to fill that portion of the road. Persons are now commuting from one end of the town to the other end. But we also learned that portions of the Ankafo prisons also got flooded as a result of the rains, to the extent that there are some houses in Komenda that also got flooded. This is as a result of human activities from what I learned here in the community. They believe people have encroached the boundaries of the Sorowi River, which passes through the community to Komenda and to other portions of the region. This is what is causing the river to overflow its banks. We learned the Roads and Highways Minister will be here this morning to inspect work that is ongoing here. As we speak now, persons are commuting from one end of the road to the other. It is interesting to note that as at yesterday, myself, when I was commuting from Accra to Jukwa, I had to use the Asimfosu stretch, which is almost about 4 hours getting to this place. But as we speak now, persons are able to use this portion of the road to enter into Cape Coast. From Jukwa to Cape Coast is just about 25 minutes. But as at yesterday, it took persons almost about 3 to 4 hours to cross to that portion of the road. I have with me here the assemblyman for the area, who has been instrumental since the onset of the flood. He would explain and let us have a better understanding of what the situation is currently, David.
All right, great.
Welcome to City News.
Thank you. My name is...
Assemblyman, tell me, you have been here from the very day of the incident.
Yes.
What can you tell us?
All right. My name is Honorable Isaac Mensah Senior, Assembly Member for Jukwa West Electoral Area. On the 18th of June, 2022, a heavy rainstorm hit Jukwa and Abrafo, where we have the Kakum National Park. And around 1 o'clock a.m., I had a call from one of my campaign guys that River Srowi has flooded. So I came around, also visited nearby communities in my electoral area. Later, I returned back. The river was overflooded, so the river couldn't pass under the bridge, so it created another route, whereby dividing the road into two. The bridge didn't collapse, but it used the other place where they failed to attach the bridge. So so far as I came here, I stopped all the cars that it's very dangerous. Else, one of the car or any of the cars can sink into the water. So some of the drivers were challenging with me. Then I used my motorbike to cross here that if you want to come, you just hit the motor. So some of the drivers came down. Then they came to witness what I was saying.
So in extent, you prevented them from danger?
Yes, we have a police barrier here. The police people were advising them, but still, they came. So they came and meet me here. And I said, Master, I won't allow anybody to cross. We don't want any disaster to happen. So they came down, and they all saw that the water has created another route. But they were all focusing on the main bridge, not knowing that the main quota is just a lightweight, because all the filling was being washed away. So the moment they saw that the quota is just a lightweight, they all stepped back. Then at appropriate time, we saw that the quota has sink, and no car was going, no car was coming. So as we were here, we called a highway officer. He's a resident here. Then we channeled our grievance onto him immediately. He also called Cape Coast Highway Authority. Then they also called National. So all the highway authorities came here on the Saturday in the morning. Regional Minister also came, and our Honorable DC, Honorable Kendisapon, they all came. And they called a contractor who is contracting the downpour to Praso Road to come here. The contractor came, and he also assessed the bridge. And he promised me that he's going to Praso downpour. He will bring all the necessary equipment so that temporarily we can do something that car can cross. We were here around 4 o'clock p.m. They wasn't around. So I gathered the community members. Then we all share ideas that we have a heavy high tension pole 3 at the barrier. So we want to use it to lay it from the bridge to where we are standing. Then they all came together, and we did it. So far as soon as we did, I had a call from ECG. Their managing director in this district told me they haven't given us authority to use. They are coming to use their pole for a purpose, so we should take it back. Then we said, boss, the engineer is not around. Maybe at night, someone may have an emergency. We have pregnant women around. Maybe someone will be willing to give birth. Then if we cannot cross here, it will be something difficult for us. So I pleaded with him. And later I saw Honorable Bright Bekubrobe, the MP in Twifo Yimalewa Desha, and I told him that, Honorable, what we've just did as just a temporary solution, the ECG officers are telling me to remove it. We don't know, maybe at night somebody will be sick. How can we cross here to go to Interbetin? So Honorable spoke to them, then they said, okay, they will allow us to use it. Then I also want to use this privilege to thank the Central Regional Police Commander. He was very good. He came here with the officers and also Station Officer, Chief Inspector Seth Efabuni, Jukwa Police Station, Chief Inspector. They all did well. They came around. Then they all came here to supervise, to also control the crowd. And from midnight, they were all here and no casualty was recorded. Nobody life was lost.
Okay, let's look at the extent of damage done to properties. Now, can you quantify the extent of damage done to properties? What properties were lost in the rain?
Okay, with the properties, some of the buildings were collapsed, and also some of their bedroom, like furnitures and everything, were lost. But no life was lost. But I can say that a lot of buildings were collapsed. A lot of buildings were collapsed.
Do you believe that human activities like building on waterways has contributed to this flooding we are seeing here today?
Okay, I can say that the major problem is that of late, they used to do sirening in this river, but the local authorities stopped them. This river comes from Kakum National Park. So when it is coming, it comes with force. So it used to bring gravels and sands to fill those holes. But for now, we don't have any holes. So when it comes, it just covers the river banks. It just covers the river banks. So anytime it floods, then it spreads. So now the contractor of bridges in the Ghana Highway Authority came that they will do proper drainage system from here to the far end, so that when it is coming, at least the river can get its way to help us. So the building might not be the main problem. The river has been filled with sand, so it doesn't have the width to go. Well, so any flood, then it spreads.
Okay, so tell me again, how difficult was it for people to use this stretch of the road to cross to the other end, women and children who have foodstuffs on the other end during the time of the collapse of the bridge?
Thank you very much. In the morning, the gap came around 6 o'clock in the morning. Then nobody was going, nobody was coming. So we were all stranded. Those coming here were there, they were stacked. Those coming from Praso were stacked in Domiabra, Jukwa here. So we were all looking up onto the contractor who came to promise us that he will come. But from here to Dunkonofe, it's almost like 4 hours journey. So as they went, he was also preparing to come with heavy-duty trucks. But due to their preparation, it delayed a lot. So I and the community members here came into consensus that we will use the high-tension pole, the unused ones, to cross the bridge so that at least an individual person can walk through till the contractor comes. So around that time, that was 5 o'clock, that we used that alternative.
Is this the first time the river has overflown its banks?
Okay, this is not the first time, but this one is very, very, very serious. This one is very serious. We haven't seen such before in our lives in Jukwa here.
We learned the rain started on Friday. Yes. How true is it? The
rain started on Friday evening around 8 o'clock. Then it stopped raining around 1. After it has stopped raining, then all this flood occurred.
So, Carves,
Saturday. midnight.
Carvers. Carvers, so I want to know, at what point did the contractor return, or has the contractor not been to site yet? Because he keeps talking about the fact that they took a decision waiting for the contractor, but we don't know when the contractor arrived on site.
Okay, so at what time did the contractor actually arrive on site?
Okay, the contractor came to do assessment on the Saturday morning around, after the incident has occurred, around 10 o'clock a.m. Then he assured me that he is going to bring his equipment and the materials to come and do safety, the one that human being can use. So we were all looking up onto him, but he came around 10 o'clock p.m. in the night with the excavator. The excavator arrived here at 10 o'clock p.m. and the double axle cars loaded with heavy rocks, 24, came around 1 o'clock. So immediately they came, then I and the Honorable PM, the presiding member in Chifu Imaro Dinchira, we went to our chiefs that the contractor has come. They need to do some libation. So we went to Nana Efifa Yamwa, Dinchira Duma Kwangene. Then he gave us one snap with along with his linguist. Then they came to pour libation here before the contractor started. So the contractor started work around 1 o'clock a.m. on Sunday.
Okay. You know, yesterday when I arrived here, there was one thing I noticed, that a vehicle was in the river. What happened? Okay,
during the flood, the moment I came here around 1 o'clock on the Saturday midnight, I heard it has taken a car, but because I didn't see with my rear eye, I did not give a green light. So it was only yesterday that we saw that a pickup, just one pickup, was just in the river, and it was just in a house. Nobody was driving. It was just in the person's house.
Calvis.
So no life was lost.
Calvis, as it stands now,
that it just lived.
You know, for the makeshift temporary structure of the bridge that's there, what weight of vehicle can travel on that? I mean, we've seen bikes, we've seen some passenger cars, etc. But as far as, you know, bigger trucks or vehicles, are they passing over it? Is it safe enough for those vehicles, or are they being told not to use that stretch?
Well, Kokwi, I can tell you on authority that vehicles are using the bridge, but not heavy-duty vehicles. Light vehicles like normal commercial, trotro, private vehicles, motorbikes, and all are passing on that stretch. I noticed one thing, that the contractor was on site yesterday, but as we speak this morning, I have not seen them around here. Yesterday, their vehicles were parked here, but this morning, as we speak, I have not seen the contractor around here. And we are hoping that as the Roads and Highways Minister comes to town, we will see them here busily working. I can see the officials from the Ghana National Fire Service also here. I also have within me here one individual who lost his property in the flood. You can see in your shot the vehicle that was drowned that got drowned in the rain. Persons are trying to take the sand from the vehicle to ensure that they can actually fix the vehicle. We doubt if the vehicle can still work. But yesterday I spoke to the individual and he tells me that perhaps he will sell it for scraps if it's possible. There's this individual here who I would interact, who also lost his property in the rain. Yes, boss. Good morning. How are you?
Fine morning. I'm fine.
Your properties got destroyed in the rains.
Well, my property didn't destroy it, but a sister of mine property destroyed, and then my sister-in-law, the water was unable to, because the building is a story building. The water was unable to climb up, but those houses within the building, the water went there, and then some of the materials like MPP, their machines and other things in the office, that one was spoiled, but the building, nothing affected it. But my sister's building is where the problem was. and then the other areas like Nzongo and then Bankam down. A lot of buildings have been collapsed there because of the downpour.
Okay, these buildings that have collapsed, can I say that they built on waterways? What actually led to the collapse?
No, it's not waterway. If I say waterway, then I'm lying, because I'm almost 60 years, and this overflow has been there since immemorial. But this one is supersede all ones that has happened before. And it looks like the sun winning they are doing around, or the heavy downpour that causes this, because it has been overflowing, but not to this extent. So if I'm saying they have built on the waterway, that one, no, because all the buildings here is not in the waterway. It's not in the waterway.
So do you have any idea what caused the rain, the river to overflow?
Yes, what I can say is this: we should give glory to God that this predicament we didn't lose any life, because safety is our priority. The downpour was heavy. We didn't anticipate that it's going to rain like this. You see, and that is how the whole thing has happened. So we should pray to God that even if we have sinned, you should just forgive us and then reduce this the rains for us. Other than that, if it happens like this, we don't know what is going to happen, because the assembly man here, if not because of him, we could have lost about 2 or 3 cars, because cars coming from Praso, they wanted to pass through. They saw it that the thing was breaking gradually, but they wanted to pass through. But this assembly man used some rope and then tied it, and the drivers wasn't satisfied. We were here around 2 o'clock a.m. We were here, and the drivers were forcing, but this assembly man broke them, and we all helped. Other than that, we have lost a lot of cars. So it is the heavy downpour that has caused this. It is the heavy downpour that has caused this.
Okay. Yesterday, officials of the National Disaster Management Organization, the regional minister and his team were here. What did they tell you?
In fact, let's give thanks to them too, because immediately they held this, they came. The MP, the DCE, the NADBO, all those people, they all came. And then with their efforts, they brought a contractor to come and do feasibility studies here. And after the feasibility studies, he came with a big trucks with very big stones. And then they came to fill it. They fill it. When they fill it, we were able to use some planks, and then we walk on the other side. And then they break for, say, about 10 minutes. The people will walk to and fro. And after they continue up to around 5 or 6 o'clock, that they were able to finish it. So I can recommend that the contractor has done well. The Danmo people, they have also done well. The regional minister and his entourage, they all did well. I mean, the fire service, everybody has done well, that immediately they are able to solve this solution. But I think we have solved it, but it's not all. I mean, we should rethink of maybe getting a new bridge, because this bridge has been here for a long time. Like I was saying that I'm almost 60. Let's say I'll be 60, and this bridge was here. So we have to reinforce it, get a new one, and then that will help us, because if it happens again, we don't know what the Cape Coast people, when they are going to Praso, where they will pass. Going to Fosu is a problem. You see, so the government, I think the government should endeavor to see if we can rebuild this bridge for us.
Okay. From the look of things, it seems the rains will still come again. Are you guys prepared for the rains?
Well, that one, we have to consult those people who help us to combat, because without them and we alone, there's nothing we can do. But with them, with their expertise and with their machines and other things, we were able to combat that. But without them, we alone cannot do it. We will do our best, but without them we cannot do it, because everything we should do with money, and it goes with buying maybe a petrol. If you get a car to bring this sand, to bring this, so without this we cannot do it. But if these people are here with us, then we'll be able to cover it. That, like I said, we should think of getting a new bridge that will solve this once and for all. We don't know. This thing has been happening every 4 or 5 years. You see, and this is the one that I said is have to succeed all the ones. We don't know, maybe another one is coming which will even overcome this one or oversee this one. Nobody knows it. So the best thing is that we have to find a solution. The solution is that we should get a new bridge so that anything happens, I mean, it will have any effect on it. Because when you see the troughs, top, we have a trough at Praso. Top is bringing canals, is bringing oil to Unilever, you know, and if this bridge break, how can the Unilever get their materials to do their work? So government, and then the forestry, the Kakumu National. So this place is a very important place. So we are begging to the government that they should try to come and see whether to rebuild another bridge for us, so that all these problems will not happen again. Okay. But so far, we thank God, we thank the government, we thank the officials, we thank all those people who came to help us, that within just 1 or 2 days, we are able to pass through the bridge. Because since Friday, we people at Domiabla were unable to come to Jukwa, but with these 2 days, they are able to at least do this, and the cars are moving. So we thank everybody for their intervention, their help, their assistance to the Jukwa community. And we should pray to God that we should help the community, we should help the Inchira people, we should help Jukwa as well.
Okay, so this individual I'm speaking to actually is also appealing to government to, as a matter of urgency, expand the bridge, because he believes there are a lot of companies that live on this stretch. We have the Twifo oil palm plantation, which according to him supplies oil to Unilever and all that. There are big companies on this stretch, and he believes that this bridge can actually be expanded instead of just repairing it, so that in the near future they will not experience such occurrences. As we speak now, we are here and still waiting for the Minister for Roads and Highways, Kwesi Amoakwata, and his team to arrive. They are not here yet, but we are still hoping that they will arrive, and in no time, what they have for the community, we'll get to know, David.
Yeah, so, Carves, let me get this clear again. So it's actually not the bridge that collapsed. It's the road attaching to the bridge that collapsed. Is that not the case?
Yes, portions of the road has sunk into the bridge that collapsed. So it is just the portions of the road that collapsed. The bridge itself did not collapse, but portions of the road caved in, making it difficult for persons to cross from one end of the road to the other.
Okay. Now, Carves, you have lived in the central region for a long time. In your opinion, was the rain unusually heavy over the weekend?
Well, David, if you ask me, I would say the rain was unusual because it started on Friday at around 4 p.m. through to the night of Friday, Saturday morning. So it was just Saturday early morning that the residents here realized that the rains are becoming dangerous because according to the assemblyman for this area, the moment it started raining and it was not stopping, they got worried, you know, because the portions of the road started caving in. So that is when he also put up a stopgap measure to prevent persons from crossing from one end of the road to the other. I believe the rains came a bit hard on the people here. And as we speak, the weather is not all that good. And from the look of things, it can still rain again. So what authorities can do is to, as a matter of urgency, fix this road to prevent future occurrences. The weather is not good here, David.
Yeah. I mean, you did mention briefly the situation at Ankaful as well. Is there anything more you can tell us about that, and any role that NADMO is playing in what's happening with the flooding right where you are and at the prison as well?
Yeah, the Ankaful situation is a bit bad because, you know, that is the Ankaful prisons. From what I understand, portions of their farm and portions of the entire prison got flooded. Yesterday, officials from the National Disaster Management Organization, the regional minister, and the NADMO director went there to provide them with some relief and see how best they can also help resolve that problem in that part of the area. The prison officials are worried, and they believe that something should be done immediately to prevent future occurrences. You know, we have prison inmates there, and we wouldn't want a situation where it will rain and then it will overflow its banks and then perhaps create a lot of troubles there. Kokwi.
All right. Thank you, Calvis. Thank you.
Calvis, we appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So that was our colleague, Calvis Tete, just bringing us updates on what happened at the Jukwa bridge area. So
Yeah.
as you know, you rightly emphasized, the bridge itself is intact, but the portion of road connected to it what suffered the heaviest damage. Then it was really serious.
So I think that the river basically broke its bounds, you know, and because the bridge itself was solid, right? Even after so many years, the bridge was pretty solid, right?
It was
so
built
it looked
correctly
for a weak point.
Yes.
And the weak point was just next to, you know,
the road
outside of
connecting
the bridge,
it. And you heard how the assemblyman described it, that when all of the, should we say, dirt underneath had been washed away, you could see just a very thin layer of bitumen. So he was telling people, if you drive on this, you're driving on a very thin layer. And, you know, they didn't believe him until they saw it themselves. And indeed, it collapsed, you know. So maybe the quality of road that is built attached to a bridge should be looked at. And maybe when the minister gets there, as he said, and they assess the damage, the contractor will know exactly what needs to be done. For something that is above water and attached to a bridge, it should be more substantial support there, right?
No, well, I mean, it's a start, you know, that they've used rocks to sunk rocks into that space there, because that's what you need. You need that solid, you know, foundation, because the water will percolate through the rocks anyway. But the water, if it's heavy rocks, the water can't wash the rocks away, which is what you need, you know, as a substrate. And then you can build on top of that, you know. But I want to take a look at a report that Calvis Tete filed for us yesterday. Let's take a look.
The Central Regional Minister, Marigold Hassan, led a team, including the National Disaster Management Organization officials, to the area to assess the extent of damage done to lives and properties after the rains that destroyed portions of the Jukwa stretch of the Cape Coast Twifo Highway. According to the regional minister, one person lost his life in yesterday's rains in Jukwa and is hoping that the rains will subside for normal activities to continue in the enclave. The Sorowi River in Jukwa overflowed its banks as a result of Saturday's rains, destroying portions of the Cape Coast Praso Road. Here is the regional minister, Marigold Hassan, speaking to City News after the visit to the area.
As a mother of the region, we had a bad news yesterday. It was Jukwa we heard first. We were talking to Urban Roads, the Ministry of Roads and Highways, and they gave us the assurance that the contractor was on the road and that the contractor was moving to site to bring boulders to quickly put the interventions on the ground for people to be able to use the road. Just around that time, I had a distress call from the MC of Commander Negwa telling me about the disaster happening to at his end. So we had to quickly move in to assess the situation. It was so pathetic. Honestly, a lot of people have been displaced and we needed to rise in quickly. And thankfully, we called on NADMO National, and they came in with the structures of what they alleged could grant to the region. And at 12 midnight, trucks of goods had arrived, and we are moving to the place to give relief items to the affected people.
Member of Parliament for the area, Bright Rekubrobe, expressed worry about the disaster since that enclave is the food basket of the region and he fears further rains will be disastrous for the area.
These things happen to us in life, and thank God most of them have found places with relatives and so on. NADMO has also been here, as you have seen, with some relief items which we are going to donate to this person. So it's generally a bad news, not for us alone. If you look at the economy of Emmanuel Dejra to Ghana in general, all our food basket in the central region mostly are coming from this area. Tourism is cut off. What I'm praying is that we wouldn't get emergency very, very soon. Otherwise, the road that we've been asked to reroute is quite a distance. That's what we are praying for. That is why work has been so speedily done around this time.
The National Disaster Management Organization, while presenting relief items to displaced persons, urged them to desist from building on waterways.
This morning we were at Winneba to sympathize with residents of many communities, Brazil, Elmina and other places. most of them are at safe havens because they've been rendered homeless. And we visited them, and this afternoon we are presenting a number of relief items to them to help them stay in where they are today. Looking at all the disasters, none of them is man-made disasters. See, they are natural disasters. And today with climate change, you know, the rainfalls, you cannot do anything about it. The only thing is that we need to be careful with our sanitation system. Some of the places, the way we waterways. Let me take this opportunity to appeal to Ghanaians that we're going to experience more rains, so we must all be careful.
Residents of Jukwa can heave a sigh of relief as portions of the bridge that caved in as a result of the rain is being constructed. They are hoping authorities will do this in no time. Calvis Tete, City News, Jukwa.
Actually, going back to Calvis Tete live on the ground in Jukwa, he's with the MP of the area, Bright Rekubrobe. So we'll get some insight from him as well as to what can be done to help his constituents. So, Calvis, we're back with you again.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Now, I understand that you have Honorable Bright Rekubrobe with you.
Yes, I'm here with the Member of Parliament for Himan Lower Dentra, Bright Rekubrobe. Yesterday, during the visit by the National Disaster Management Organization and the regional minister, he was part of the team, and he made mention that this particular area is the food basket of the region, and there is a need for us to give much attention here in terms of construction. He was hoping that further rains would bring trouble, and there's a need for attention to be shifted here. Honorable, you're welcome.
Thank you, my brother.
Yes, yesterday during the visit, you made mention that this particular stretch of area is the food basket of the region, and there's a need for attention here. What can you say?
Well, good morning to viewers, and good morning particularly to my constituents who are watching at the moment. As I mentioned yesterday, the disaster happened on Saturday morning. It took all of us unawares, and then I was informed around 6 a.m. I had a call from the constituency while I was in Accra. And so immediately I informed the Roads Minister, and not knowing he had even also been informed. So he gave me that full assurance that he was going to do all things possible to make sure that we are not cut off. Like I said yesterday, Central Region is so diverse. Apart from the fish that we get from our coastal areas, all these foodstuffs, plantain, cassava, rice, cocoa, all those things are coming from the forest belt of the region. You know, the Kakum National Park is here. Tourism is also affected. And the road stretches, when you go to the east, you hit Asifusu. To the west, you'll be going to Dunkwao and to Kumasi. So people have started using this enclave. So it was a very big blow to us. But thankfully, yesterday, the minister, per his assurance, ensured that they were at work 24/7, all through the night on Saturday till yesterday, until the evening when they opened up to traffic. You could see the seriousness. And for me, this is, if anything at all, is one thing I have seen Ghana really, really working, because this couldn't have happened, and then 72 hours, you would not see cars, trying to catch up. So for me, I am impressed with the rate of work. The Roads Minister is about coming. When he reaches here, he will come with his team of technical people who will tell us the next steps. But as you see the bridge now, we've been able to use boulders, to fill up, and then they've done the needful. As left, it may be some engineering works to be further done, and then we'll be able to have a sustained maintenance on this particular bridge. So we are grateful. What I will tell my constituents, this disaster normally would happen once in a while. The river, as you see, is a very big one. And I will entreat everybody to be careful the way we dispose our refuse and all that. So, as for water, If he doesn't find his way, he will maneuver and pass somewhere. So I will entreat them and thank them for their patience. They have been very supportive. Whenever we asked them to stay aside, give us distance, they had cooperated with us until we've gotten this far. So we are grateful to God and to the minister involved, the regional minister. We are grateful to him. The NADMO DG was also here. The disaster didn't happen only in our place. Across the region, we had pockets, all over. And yesterday, every senior person in government made sure they were here to ensure that we have free flow of traffic.
Covers.
Let's look at the central region. Yes.
Yeah, Covers. So what I wanted to find out from him, the assemblyman spoke of the fact that he didn't think that encroachment in the waterways was a problem. The other gentleman you spoke to as well also said same. As an MP, what is his perspective? Is there, because he just made mention of human involvement in the flooding situation with the refuse. Does he also think that apart from the refuse, does he also think that building waterways has also been a contributing factor?
Well, sir, do you think this river, there are other factors contributing to the river overflowing?
Well, the NADMO DG indicated that they were doing further assessments and will bring their report to us and advise us accordingly. But as I speak now, I will attribute this to pure natural disaster. This year's rains have been very, very, all over Ghana. Accra is not spared, and we in the smaller cities, villages are equally not spared. So you can see that this is happening. The climate change issues we talk about, man-made activities have contributed immensely to some of these things. And that the immediate that comes to my mind is that we need to live such that we respect nature. We don't dispose of things into gutters, and when it's raining, that's where people find comfort to throw in garbages and all that. So, once we respect nature and live with it, nature will live with us.
Well, I spoke to some of your constituents, and they were saying that for them, they would wish that the bridge is actually expanded. Do you also believe in that school of thought?
Well, when some of these things happen, the immediate thing we seek to do is to fix it. Yesterday, I had discussion with the engineers. We are even looking at alternative routes. If there are some routes that are nearby, which would need 1 or 2 covers. They wouldn't be too big. So that when disasters like this happen, we would look at those alternative routes. So we've discussed that. In a long-term solution, I think that yes, if this road is being constructed and is to be given probably a double-face route, we should look at expansion of the bridge. Yesterday, while work was going on, I figured that, yes, the heavy-duty machines were even impacting on the bridge. So, obviously, its lifespan probably would have come down. I'm not an engineer, but I'm sure that with time, if we are looking at a bigger bridge to take care of the volume of traffic on the road, that will be fine.
Well, today, the Minister for Roads and Highways is coming here.
Yes.
What should we expect?
Oh, we should expect him to give us the long-term solution to this. Our area is forested, as I said. Timber and everything comes. So even the advice as to heavy-duty vehicles using what they have done now will all come from the minister and his engineers, so that we can also advise our people very well. But for now, light vehicles are using the route without problems. So when the minister comes, he's supposed to let us know the way forward. He has the engineers, and they will advise us on the way forward. But I am grateful to him. Not sleeping over this, and you can see the seriousness attached to this thing. I am very much impressed.
Yesterday, the officials from the National Disaster Management Organization were here. They presented some relief items to your constituents. Do you have an idea how many people were affected here in your area?
Well, that report might come from NADMO. They told me they are still doing the assessment. I've not met them this morning to know how many households have been affected. But on the stretch of my mind, it runs into hundreds, I think. A lot of families, just that our family systems here are very good. So most of them have patched with other family members and so on. And we are on the ground seeing how best we can help people with some immediate relief items like cement and so on, to let them, just put up small structures and be able to survive.
Yeah, Honorable. Again, let's look at the area, your area, for instance. Do you have plans to, you have a lot of companies on this trade. We have the Twifo oil palm plantation, among others. Do we have plans to also engage them in terms of supporting to expand this stretch?
Well, the only company here is Twifo oil palm plantations. And road construction is capital intensive. And has always, I have seen a couple of roads being funded by some organizations. I saw one at Goldfields in Takwa assisting with some roads. But they are capital intensive projects, which I think government is not reneging at all. I mean, declaring last year of roads, this year of roads, you can see lots of construction going on across Ghana. And even the road from here, Jukwa to Krobo, is being done. When you go to Himai, we have one. So we have benefited from 2 major feeder routes, and we are still fighting that we'll get more. So let's see how things go. And then we also benefit from the year of roads.
Let's divert a bit. Commander experienced similar distractions. From what we learned, over 100 to 200 houses have been destroyed by the rains. Do you think the central region, we're not doing enough to ensure that the proper things are done?
I don't think we are not doing enough. These are natural disasters. And when these things started, we were all looking at Accra and Kumasi and the big cities. And little did we even know that it will catch up with us. So as for natural disasters, they occur. But being resilient and positioning yourself to face it is what is needed. And for me, somehow, we got exposed. Like I'm saying, when this bridge caved in, this section of the road caved in, we didn't have alternative routes. The only alternative route was very, very far. And it gave you a travel distance plus 3 hours travel distance from Cape Coast to Twifo or Praso. I mean, going through the other routes. So when these things happen, that's why I say when I discussed with the engineers, they have seen the need to support us to get 1 or 2 nearby routes, so that in the event, unlikely event, that these things should happen again, we would not be found wanting as we found ourselves in the last 72 hours.
Yesterday, when I was coming here, I used the Asimfosu road, and it's quite hectic, using that portion of the road. Yeah. So I believe you'll still emphasize on the fact that we need to look for some other road as bypass.
Absolutely, and that's what I am. We have 2 here. One on the right, there's a community called Nyamieni. There's a very shortcut to like 10 kilometers from here. You get to Mim, that stretch. If we are able to fix those covers, they are smaller ones, you have alternative routes here. To the west, off the Krobo Road, we cannot also have, there's an accessible route, but for the rains. So if we are fixing these things, in future, we will be good.
So your final words to persons in your constituency?
Well, my final word to them is to thank them for their patience. Those that are seriously affected, they should hope that we haven't left them just like that. Yesterday, NADMO was here. We are trying to do what we can. Myself and my DCE will collaborate and then see how best we can give some relief, basic relief items for them to patch up some of the constructional things that they need to solve and be able to get back into the accommodations.
Yes, Honorable, one more question. You know, from the look of things, the rains have not ended, yes, and we will still get more rains. Yes. Do you have any plans as the Member of Parliament to ensure that your people are safe? Any educational thing to go on, or perhaps something to ensure that your people are safe? Because from the look of things, the rains will still come.
Yes, this has been an eye-opener. Nobody thought that this thing would be so intense and extensive to create this kind of distraction. So people are already put on the alert. Yesterday, we asked those living on the banks of the river to position themselves well, because the rains, we are even told that we are now coming to experience more rains. So they shouldn't think that this is over and then they come back with their belongings into those same structures. So once I told you that we have a solid family systems here, and so people have moved to their family members, especially those who live on the river banks. So these are the things we are putting in place to forestall any unforeseen catastrophic events that will come again.
All right, thank you, sir. Well, so that is the Member of Parliament for Twifo Lower Dintra, Dr. Bright Rekubrobi. He was actually advocating that apart from this stretch, we also need some bypasses that we can use in the unlikely event of an accident like what we are seeing here. So we are here still waiting for the Minister and his team as we speak now, David.
All right, thank you very much, Carbus. Thank you for that update. All right, so I find it interesting, though, that he makes reference to Accra and Kumasi as having been hit previously with flooding and everything else, and then now it's happening in Central Region. But he's referring to it as a natural disaster.
Yes.
You see.
It's almost like nobody really wants to address the issue of people building where they're not supposed to build.
You are creating it.
You know, human factor.
How is it a natural disaster if you are blocking waterways and preventing water? So yes, I do appreciate that sometimes you have freak rainstorms, a little more rain than normal. I would like to find out from the Meteo people, you know, what the volume of rain we've had this year, you know, and if the rain patterns are unusual. Right. Because I don't necessarily think they are unusual, even in Accra, right? Because if you think about it, I mean, the time we had June 3rd, that was like the worst rain, right? It was the day of like one of the heaviest rain. But it didn't stop raining after June 3rd. You see that? So I'm just saying that for me, it's looking at the whole, you know, general discussion that we're having. The human factor is really a major issue. You know, I'm also wondering, when we look at Accra, I'm just thinking, it's just thinking off the top of my head. What about if we say this, right? Accra is pretty much choked as it is in terms of there's no free space anywhere to build again, except
yet people are still finding places
except the Achimota Forest, of course. But there's no new spaces to build in, right? So when it floods, can we not have satellite imagery of the flood lanes, right? So we see where the floods are passing. You see, the water is taking its natural course. Then rather say that this is where the water is passing. Let's create proper channels, okay? Expanded proper channels for the water to flow so that it doesn't go into people's homes anymore. And then we clear those parts all the way to the sea. And then stop people, move people 50 meters back from the water channels. You know?
It sounds like
but you will have to compensate heavy. But this is what we've brought upon ourselves, right?
Well, the conversation continues. You can send us a message and let us know your thoughts on this, okay? Hashtag is Breakfast Daily, all over social media, and our WhatsApp line is 0550-585832. Okay, so we want to hear from you. Now, we'll still be talking nutrition on the show. Nutritionist Akosua is here. We'll let you know about the City Summit, what you can expect, and there's some cooking as well. So look, don't go anywhere. Breakfast Daily is just getting started. Okay, we'll be back after this break.